what'd you make of our conversation? What do you think is the fate of Peloton? I mean, we should ask the basic question. Perhaps nobody buys it. And what happens then?
Well, first, thanks for having me. I think, Carl brings up a really interesting point around there really is a way to be able to craft almost any scenario to be able to show who could actually be an acquirer. What we saw was that, during the pandemic, services like Peloton had this massive tailwind. And now that things are opening up a little bit, hey, look, I'm one of those people. I bought a Peloton because I was getting a little bit too COVID heavy and decided to go back to the gym once things opened up. I think Apple would be a very interesting acquirer because of the strides they've made on the health side. This will be another brand that's kind of in line with how they like to think about the design element. But look, Apple doesn't make a lot of acquisitions. I mean, their biggest acquisition to date is Beats. So I don't know. This one is kind of up in the air right now.
Tony, you said you bought a Peloton. I just bought a regular treadmill and I put my iPad on it. And that's how I use Peloton. So when you look at sort of the latest quarter, they're reporting tonight after the bell, but if you look at their fiscal Q1 subscription revenue, up nearly 100% year over year, $300 million to its connected fitness, which is the actual physical sales of the equipment. It's $500 million. So, what are you buying it for? Are you buying it for that ARR, that recurring revenue, or for the hardware?
Yeah, I think in the case of really Apple in particular, they're buying it for that ARR, the ability to continue to move the business to be able to have a higher margin offering from recurring services. It does nothing but increase the moat, locks in a premium customer. I suspect there's a big overlap between the Peloton users and the iPhone users anyway. So I think it would make a lot of sense, but I could also see it making sense for Amazon as well as Nike.
Yeah, I was going to say Nike. Lo, you used to work for them for a bit. It's one thing to talk about the tech players moving into health, but what about the health and lifestyle players moving more into subscription, more content, more direct relationship? Would this be bad in that it draws Nike perhaps into too much competition with, gyms and things like that, or might it be good?
Yeah, I think it's very important to note that, and I tried to bring this up at one point, is, Nike is really a culture company. And if we think about what Peloton has done, Peloton has created this interconnected community that really is an element of culture around those that are passionate about fitness. And as we see people trending a little bit more towards a healthier lifestyle, this would make a lot of sense for a company like Nike. And I think, kind of looking directionally where Nike is going, the investments that they're making into digital, the addition of John Donahue, who I worked with at eBay, his leadership, they're really driving much more towards interconnectivity, and that means having a large digital footprint and presence.
Lo, more broadly, it's getting interesting here. You got lots of companies that are loaded up with cash, right? They made the best of a window where rates were really low. And now, whether it's gaming and Activision or the airlines today or theoretically Peloton, these companies are beginning to sense that balls are going to come in over the plate. And it's going to be fascinating to see which ones they want to swing at.
Yeah, especially that's true, especially when everything's on sale. So, look, a lot of these valuations also are going to start to become a little bit more attractive. Things will probably become a lot more interesting. I think one thing to keep in mind, mentioning Microsoft and Activision Blizzard, the regulatory environment is a little bit different than it was, maybe say 5-10 years ago. And so, I wouldn't necessarily say that the government is asleep behind the wheel right now. So they're going to keep a very close eye. And I suspect there's going to be a lot more scrutiny in order to be able to get these deals across the finish line.